Good morning and welcome to Community Roundtable, a free public service brought to you on AM 1590 KDJS. If you're a member of a nonprofit organization and would like to be featured on the program, call the KDJS Newsline at 320-235-2900. That's 320-235-2900.
This is Community Roundtable. Al Sheldon here. Good morning. We're talking with an area farmer from the Grove City area. Alan Barka joins us right now. Alan, we appreciate you taking some time out of what's been a real busy week for you. You just got back from Washington, D.C. What was going on out there?
Well, I came down with a delegation of 22 Farm Bureau members. We talked to our senators and our congresspeople. About a lot of issues on the plate. The big ones are the 2018 Farm Bill, making sure that gets passed on time, and then that's the big one. And then the trade, to defend and expand our trade opportunities that we have. So
the trade opportunities have gotten a little bit, shall we say, different lately with tariffs and everything. A lot of people probably don't realize exactly how that affects our local farmers here in west central Minnesota. What does it mean when you hear about what we could call trade wars with China and other countries?
What does it mean?
Yeah. How does that affect us right here at home?
That affects our prices is the biggest thing, and having some place to go with our commodities. So.
And what do you do? Let's say when the destination changes, you're on the lookout for someone new to be a buyer, I'm guessing.
Yep, we're trying to build those relationships to send our products someplace else.
Yeah, you were talking with some of our area representation in Washington D.C. Who did you meet with?
Well, we met with both our senators, Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Tina Smith. 7 of our 8 congressional district offices we met with. And then we also met with Undersecretaries Ted McKinney and Bill Northey and Chief Economist Robert Johansson.
Now, what exactly did they have to say then? What kind of message do they have for the group that went out?
Well, they're hopeful that we can get something figured out with trade, and but we need to keep working on it. And I guess their biggest thing was we need to be patient, but they are working on it, and they're getting a little closer every day. So
it's kind of hard to be patient when you got bills to pay, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
What kind of plan did they have? I mean, they say they're working on it. Did they say what they're working on, the angle they want to take?
What's that?
Did they say what they're working on exactly, how they want to change things and make it better?
They're looking at new places to trade at. Well, not new places, but new agreements, I guess.
I know the net farm income has dropped, unfortunately, and in some issues it's dropped by quite a bit, up to 13%. Costs of living certainly don't drop, do they?
No, they don't. So.
Interesting topic for sure. You and your wife have a farm near Grove City. A couple of youngsters. How big's the farm? What do you grow? Do you have livestock? How's it all work for you back here at home?
Actually, we sold our cows this spring, and I work in town at the fertilizer plant in Litchfield. Mm-hmm. But we farm about 75 acres, and then we were milking about 60 cows.
So that was a pretty busy herd, and the milk cow business has certainly gone in the tank, so to speak, hasn't
it? Yep.
Background on yourself, did you grow up on a farm as a youngster?
Yep. I grew up on a crop and beef farm north of Litchfield. Mm-hmm. And my dad also hauled milk, so worked for a lot of neighbors milking cows. My wife grew up over by Cosmos. They grew up on a row crop farm. So yeah,
it's kind of in the blood when you grow up on a farm. Lucky enough to to be able to stay in the farm business? How many acres do you have?
We have about 80 acres.
Mm-hmm. And how old are the kids?
Our oldest is Matthew, is 3 years old. He just started preschool this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then our youngest is Hannah. She's 9 months old.
So we're a little ways off from maybe seeing what the kids want to do if they want to stay in the farm industry like you did. Was that something that was a tough decision for you? Is that something you always wanted to do once you got into high school? You kind of knew that you were going to be on the farm.
Yeah, it was a very tough decision. Wow. What was the question?
Yeah. Was it hard for you to decide, hey, I want to stay on the farm, I want to work the farm, the cattle that you sold, eventually work the crops, or did you have other options, something else you wanted to do with life once you get out of high school and off to college,
Yeah, I guess no. Farming is what I've always wanted to do from a young age. I wanted to milk cows. So.
Mm-hmm. And where'd you go to school at then? What college did you go to?
I went to Litchfield High School, and then I went on to Ridgewater at the egg department, so in Wilmer.
And your wife did the same route, or she go somewhere else?
She's actually a teacher, and she went to St. Cloud State. Mm-hmm. She went to ACGC High School.
When you think about, you mentioned having 80 acres, the people around you, big crop farmers, big into dairy or hogs, what's the operations like when you look at your neighbors? How are they doing,
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of crop farmers around us, and I think they're struggling, just like everybody else. So.
Yeah, makes it rough. What do you see in the future? Do you think the trip you mentioned about 22 people with the Farmers Union, the Farm Bureau out to Washington D.C. Is this something that you'll be staying in touch with the politicians on via the phone, via text messaging or emailing? Do you think it was a positive trip overall for you?
Oh, I think it was definitely a positive trip. There was a lot of other commodity groups here as well, and we were all voicing our same opinion. We need to get something done with trade. So I think it was very worthwhile coming out here.
Had you been to Washington, D.C. before?
Nope, this is my first trip. So
kind of crazy out there, isn't it? To me, when I go to a big city, I have a lot more appreciation for where I currently live.
Yeah, that's very true. So.
When you guys got out of there just in time, it sounds like they're going to get a little rain off of that hurricane, that moved through, that started hitting land on Thursday mornings. So you timed the trip out quite well, I guess, whoever the planner was.
Yep. Yeah, at the beginning of the week, we weren't sure if we were going to make it back or not.
Mm-hmm. The 80 acres you've got, is that all in corn right now, or is it a mix?
Corn and soybeans.
Corn and soybeans. You're about ready to get the soybeans rolling, I imagine, with the harvest, huh?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit yet, but
I've seen varying degrees of soybean maturity right now. Some that are still yellow and a little bit of leaf, and then some that look almost like they're ready to be harvested.
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be coming up for you. You keep do you do any storage on the farm, or do you haul it all right into town?
We've got a little bit of storage at home.
Mm-hmm. Got some corn you can feed the deer, right?
Yeah.
There are enough of those guys around, too. Yeah, I've seen a few the last few mornings traveling to work back and forth. So, well, you guys certainly we tip our hats to you for trying to get some things done. Is this something that you'll see the Farmers Union continuing to do, trips out to D.C. or maybe trips to St. Paul? Any schedule on the horizon that you know of? Or?
I guess the Farm Bureau does it. They do 2 trips out to Washington, D.C. every year and spend a lot of time at the Capitol in Minnesota. So.
Yeah. You got to keep bending the ear, or as they say, the squeaky wheel gets greased, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Alan, we certainly appreciate you spending some time with us here today. It's a heck of a topic. We're not only lakes country, but as everybody knows, big farm country, too. Very important topics, and hopefully things will get back on the upswing like we know they can and like they have in the past. History hopefully will repeat itself, and things will get back to what we can call normal, albeit maybe a new normal. I don't know. Alan, safe harvest season to you this fall. We appreciate you calling in, and we'll hopefully chat once again when some more news gets made, okay?
Sure. Thank you.
That is Alan Barka with us, rural Grove City area farmer on a recent trip out to Washington, D.C. to talk with politicians concerning the farm prices and everything going on in the world as far as our economics are concerned. Our program continues. We're talking farming this morning, and we bring in longtime auctioneer LaDon Hensland right now to talk a little bit about what he sees when it comes to today's farms, some auctions, people changing hands when it comes to the land in the household. LaDon, we appreciate you checking in here with us. I know you and I chat quite a bit on K95.3 FM when it comes to auction sales, and sometimes you've got a farm site, sometimes you've got land. What are you seeing this day and age, LaDon? Are there more auctions or less when it comes to farmland? How's it go?
I would say as of right now, at this point, there's less farmland auctions. I would say the farm equipment auctions we're having are not any more, not any less. Well, quite a bit less than what it was, 15, 20 years ago. We sold out quite a few smaller farmers,
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing some retirement auctions. But, obviously there is stress on the farming economy with, when corn was $7, everybody was happy. And now that corn is around $3, it certainly makes a difference. But we're not seeing any, at this point, a lot of financial difficulties in auctions as the farm economy goes.
It's interesting to see how it all plays out, and it's always good to me when I hear of a younger family or maybe kids raised on the farm gradually taking over for dad or helping grandpa or an uncle, something like that,
And that's true, but as we all know, it's our farming generation's getting older, and there's less and less young people that have been getting involved. With the high cost of not only the equipment but the input cost is what I'm hearing from the farmers. It's just when the crops go down, the input cost seems like they don't go down, and that's the problem.
Yeah, tough to make it work when
right.
that imbalance is so great. From what I've seen, anyway. Gosh, let's educate some folks here a little bit, LaDon. These big combines, you're driving down the road, it's harvest time, you got a great big combine out there taking the corn in. What do they sell for?
Well, we sell a lot of used combines. Obviously, we don't sell any new ones, but and there's so many different models. But I mean, you can sell a used combine for 160, 170, all the way down to 30, 40,000. Just depends upon the make and the model.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're talking thousands of dollars here, not hundreds.
Thousands of dollars, yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with tractors, I imagine, too, then. A good quality used tractor, you're not going to get it for the price of a car, are you?
Absolutely not. I mean, you get into some of these quad tracks. I mean, a used quad track can bring 240, 250,000, and that not only that, but now maintain it. You can't take a tractor in and get a 1995 oil change on it.
No. Well, you think of the diesels, which so many of the tractors are, obviously. That's a proposition there when it comes to getting a lot of oil changed on a unit like that. Gosh.
Right.
Did you grow up on a farm, LaDon?
I did. I was I grew up on my grandparents' farms. They were small-time farmers, but I've been involved in agriculture my whole life. And, one thing we've discussed is, 50, 60, 70 years ago, a farmer could have a bad year. These farmers today, their grandpas and their great-grandpas, they could have a couple bad years, 2, 3 years or whatever, and they could survive. But, boy, I tell you start having 1 or 2 bad years in today's economy with high input costs, high prices of maintaining, and man alive, some of these guys, they get in trouble quick where they're, grandpa and grandma and great grandpa, they could survive 1 or 2 or 3 bad years, but there's a lot of pressure out there right now.
Again, we are visiting with LaDon Hensland today, talking farming. We had a chance to catch up with area farmer Alan Barka, just a few minutes earlier. LaDon, you talked about growing up on a farm, as did I. Your early memories of being on a farm, the tractors, the equipment, what do you guys have?
Well, our big tractor was a 8N Ford, and for those that know about tractors, they're a small tractor. We've got garden tractors that are bigger than that today. Mm-hmm. We milk cows by hand. We pitched the manure by hand. Mm-hmm. And but we had a very, very simple farm, a laid back farm, and it was not a big farm, but it taught us how to work. And for those of us who are always looking to hire people, if they come from the farm, they usually got an edge on everybody because they know how to work and they know what it's all about.
Yeah, very similar background to yours, LaDon. I grew up, we had 160 acres, and my great uncle lived a mile down the road. He had an 80. And, we had milking machines for the cows. The manure, that was either a 3-tine or a 4-tine pitchfork. And I had people today say, well, how'd you learn how to back that camper up or back the boat up? I said, well, I used to back up a manure spreader, so I got a lot of practice, We had a WD-45 wide front Alice Chalmers and a 720 John Deere wide front diesel and a 70 narrow front diesel and an M Farmall with a picker on it, so we were going to town, man, I tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bet.
Fun memories, though, gosh. Like you say, you learn how to work when you're cleaning the barn or baling hay or walking the beans or whatever it is. It was easy for us guys to get a job with the neighbors when time permitted.
Well, we seems like we were always up in that hay mow when it was 120.
Yeah.
And then when it rained, my grandpa said, that's the day you fix fence in the rain. Mm-hmm. And so we were always fixing fence in the rain. And, it's funny to look back at that now. But after my grandpa passed, my brother and I bought the family farm. We bought 2 WD-45s. We still own them today, but they're a fun tractor to drive. Yeah,
very, very fun. And I know when you do auctions today, and we were talking about the big tractors, the big combines, you still see some of the older, smaller tractors in pretty good shape that'll get auctioned off, won't you?
We do. In fact, if you look at our website, we have a sale coming up. We have over 50 Massey Harris tractors.
Wow.
And that's down at New Prague, and that's coming up here at the end of September. And my dad died when he was real young. He was 40 years old. He was a Massey Harris dealer. And so some of those old tractors I've always had an interest in. But, the generation that loved those old tractors, they're kind of slipping away. The new generation, what I call the collectibles, are now the John Deere 4020s and the International 1086s and 986s. And they moved up a generation for collectibles now.
Yeah, I remember when my dad bought an 806 with a year-round cab. It was right after I'd left the farm to go to school, and I didn't get a chance to farm in luxury, as we called it back then. I saw the other day, LaDon, it was an old Oliver, a wide-front Oliver that would have been out of the early 70s, and I can't tell you the model number, but it would have been similar to like an 806, that size, And kind of fun to see. It was still, the guy was using it. He wasn't driving in a parade. He was out doing some work with it, So
yeah,
fun to watch.
And they're easy to maintain compared to today with all the computers and the auto steer and the satellites. And the old tractors were still a lot easier to maintain, but certainly they can't do near what they can do today. That's for sure.
Well, LaDon, as we wrap up, we've been talking about some pretty fun memories on the farm earlier with Alan Barka. We're talking about the problem that exists today with the prices as they are and the trade tariffs creating some uncertainty. And as the harvest gets ready to come in this fall, a lot of guys are wondering, what are we going to do with our soybeans or maybe the corn that we have? Expecting a pretty good crop this year up and down the state in general. So our buyer or buyers, China included, they may not be dealing with us, and hopefully that's a situation that'll get resolved for all of our farmers real soon,
Well, we certainly hope so. When we do an auction for our customers, we tell them we'll do everything we can to make it a successful auction that we can control. But obviously we can't control trade and we can't control markets. We can use the internet, we can use the newspapers, we can use the radio to promote the auction, and our experience of being in it for many years. But we can't control if we're not getting along with China and some of those things. But I have found in nearly my 40 years, farmers are the most optimistic people they are, and they have to be. I mean, always next year is going to be the best year, and there's still a lot of optimism out there. There's concern, surely, but there's still a lot of optimism out there, and I just hope it keeps going the way it is, and hopefully it even gets better. So.
Yeah, and it's a heck of a nerve-wracking industry, whether it's 50 years ago or today, because you can't control Mother Nature either, you know?
That's correct.
Indeed.
That's correct.
Been chatting with LaDon Hensland here on Community Roundtable, talking farming today.
You've been listening to Community Roundtable, a free public service brought to you on AM 1590 KDJS. If you're a member of a nonprofit organization and would like to be featured on the program, call the KDJS Newsline at 320-235-2900. That's 320-235-2900.